What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we're going to be talking about the new Trials mode coming to Destiny 2 and everything we know about it so far, which is all info I've pieced together from actual interviews with Bungie devs, also some info that was talked about in the keynote presentation, and some leaked information, which is definitely very interesting. So it's looking like the Trials mode in Destiny 2 is actually going to be called Trials of the Nine, not Osiris. It's going to be changed slightly and now called Trials of the Nine. And I'll get into why that's interesting in a second, but first, where did this info actually come from? So this is all from someone who actually leaked a bunch of Destiny 2 info right before the reveal happened and was 100% correct on all of it, and they said a bunch of things which I'm going to list off now, and bear in mind, this is all said before the reveal, back when we knew absolutely nothing, so whoever this is, they definitely know a lot of information. So their post said, Destiny 2 on PC will be on Battle.net, non-Steam. There's a new PvP mode similar to Elimination. All of Crucible is going to be 4v4. They also listed the details of the kinetic, energy, and power weapons, even listing each individual weapon in their category. They also talked about the new class abilities like the Shade Step for the Hunter, the Warlock Rift, and the Titan Barrier, and then they went on to talk about the subclasses. And as you can tell, every single one of those things they're saying was absolutely correct, 100% spot on. All those things were said before the reveal, and the final thing this leaker said is that Trials of Osiris is now gone. It's now called Trials of the Nine. So they clearly knew everything that would be unveiled in the presentation and leaked the name of the Trials mode before Bungie even announced it, and that's how we essentially know that Trials is now going to be called Trials of the Nine. So we can also look at what Bungie have officially said about the Trials mode with an IGN interview. So Luke Smith, the game director, said, "I can't imagine shipping Destiny 2 and not having a Trials-like experience there very soon." Also, Mark Noseworthy, the project lead, said it's going to be launching around the launch window. And then IGN also asked if the Trials mode will be launching in the Osiris-themed expansion, which you know is coming in December. And Noseworthy said fans can expect it way before that. We've got some cool stuff planned for Trials that we're going to unveil later this year, so we don't want to give away too much. So it looks like the Trials mode is going to be launching a few weeks after Destiny 2's launch itself, of course on September 8th. Basically the same as normal, so it gives us plenty of time to play the game's basic content, the story and strikes, and actually level up and get the gear. And the raid will probably launch soon after the launch of Destiny 2 itself, probably within the first week or two, and then expect Trials to go live soon after that. So of course, well before December, it's going to be sometime in the launch window, my guess probably the end of September. So it's also very important to note that in the presentation and also all the interviews, they've never once called it Trials of Osiris. They've always called it Trials, and especially Luke Smith called it a Trials-like experience. So it kind of even more matches up that the mode might be changed to Trials of the Nine. It's still Trials technically, just not of Osiris. So you can definitely note the kind of way they're wording these things, and you can probably tell it is going to be changed to 9 instead of Osiris now. But it does seem like it is going to be launching within the launch window of Destiny 2 itself, so we won't have long to wait until Trials goes live. We'll have plenty of time to actually figure out the meta and what guns are good, and of course level up from 0 to 20, and then of course get a light level up as well to get into the mode itself. So let's talk about Trials of the Nine and what that name actually means, which is very, very interesting, especially story-wise. Because of course the first 3 or 2 years of Destiny, it was the Trials of Osiris. Osiris obviously being one of the more prominent characters in the lore. He's a warlock who was kind of banished from the city. Very mysterious character, but those were his trials. We were proving ourselves to him, and essentially he was kind of running a tournament to find the very best guardians who would win, and then we could work with him or work for him or help him or whatever he wants from us. But it seems like now, after all these years of doing the mode, I guess we've earned his trust and he's now going to be working with us. I'd expect in the first DLC, the Osiris one, will be mainly PvE focused. Hopefully there's a raid in there, but I'm pretty sure we're going to finally meet him, and he's going to be the one giving us our quests and missions and basically helping him out or fighting whatever war he's got himself into. But now instead, in Destiny 2, we're going to have to go through and earn the trust of the Nine and go through their trials essentially and earn their trust. I'm sure the mode will be very similar, kind of a tournament, elimination style. Of course, there will be changes, like Noseworthy hinted at, but Trials of Osiris was pretty much the most successful mode in the history of Destiny. It kept the game alive, and it was definitely one of the most kind of rewarding and most kind of sought-after experiences in Destiny. So expect it to be pretty similar, but of course some massive overhauls like the Trials cards and the rewards, how many wins you take and stuff like that. Expect those things to be changed, but of course now it's all for the Nine, and we're probably going to go to somewhere else instead of the Lighthouse, where the Nine will give us rewards instead. So as I mentioned, the Nine are a very, very mysterious group. They're probably one of the biggest mysteries in the Destiny lore and the backstory, but they're kind of like the Illuminati. That's how I view them. They're very behind the scenes, mysterious, not much known about them, but they're very powerful as well. They pull a lot of strings. You know, the Queen of the Reef has worked with them or for them, and the Nine were even the ones who released Skolas to us in the first place. He was captured, and for some reason when the Queen handed him over to the Nine then released Skolas. So I'm not sure why they did that. Again, they're mysterious people. Who knows what they do or why they do it, but it's always been unclear whether they're on our side or not. We also know that Osiris met them on Europa, and also the fact that the 9 are Jovians, so they live on planets or moons around Jupiter. Europa is of course a moon of Jupiter, so that could be why Osiris met them there. But also another planet we are getting for sure in Destiny 2 is Io. That is another moon of Jupiter, so perhaps we'll see something of them, but those are just some details of the 9. Like I said, they're very mysterious, but I'm sure we're going to get a ton of answers in Destiny 2, and I'm really happy that one of the biggest mysteries of the Destiny story is actually going to get fleshed out. We'll finally get some answers as to who the 9 are and what they do. All we know so far is that they send Zer, who is the agent of the 9, of course, and he's basically been powering us up with exotics, and that's basically his purpose. Again, not sure why they've been feeding us exotics, but the 9 want to power us up and they want to kind of reward us and make us powerful, so it may be them opening up the trials of the 9 is them kind of following on in the next step of their grand master plan. So that's a bit of backstory and insight into why the name Trials of the 9 is interesting in itself. But of course, in terms of gameplay, we can probably expect something very similar to the Elimination mode Countdown, which you can see gameplay of in the background. There's of course been a ton of changes to the gameplay mechanics. A lot of them are very confusing, but one thing that's pretty interesting is that there's actually revived tokens now. So you may have noticed on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, just in front of the gun, there's a little yellow icon. That's actually a revive token. So how that works is that you're basically allowed 1 token per game. There may be other ways to get more than 1, but so far we all had 1 in this game. And you essentially use that when you revive someone or when you're revived. So if you revive someone, when you die, no one can revive you, and of course vice versa. So if you get revived, you can no longer revive someone else, and if you die again, you can't get revived twice. So it's a very interesting way to stop the spamming of revives, which definitely was quite an issue, but now you need to think a little bit more tactically, because you know every single round you only have that 1 token, and it's going to be pretty important as to how you use it. You can also, of course, guarantee the mode is going to be 4v4, which, of course, is the direction Bungie is going in for all of Crucible. The weapon system is also, of course, different. So your primary weapons are kinetic guns, so the exact same as normal. There are no elements, just normal kinetic guns, the scout rifle, pulse, auto, and hand cannon. Whereas your secondary weapon, or special, or as they're now called energy weapons, those are ones with elements, and those actually do more damage to supers. So if you see a super running at you, that is how you do more damage. Put out your special weapon, or now called energy weapons, and those are going to deal a bit more damage. It doesn't matter about the element or trying to make them match, just simply any energy weapon or special weapon, those are going to do more damage to supers. And then of course there is the heavy weapons, or now called power weapons, and the snipers and fusions and shotguns are now moved into those categories. When you pull ammo, you only get for 1 person, so a lot of very interesting changes. And of course, like Bungie said, later on in the summer, they're going to be properly revealing and announcing this new Trials mode and talking about it and what's different. Of course, in the meantime, if there's any more news or leaks happening, I'll be sure to have you guys covered on this channel, so make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on to never miss an upload. Got a ton more Destiny 2 videos on the way, of course. If you enjoyed this video, a like rating would be much appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next one.